8,000 years, one family, and a motto that was never just words, it was a warning. This is House Stark, and if you look at this chart right here, you'll realize just how deep this bloodline actually goes. Let's walk through it, top to bottom. So right at the very top of this chart, you see that gold glowing card? That's Bran the Builder. And this guy is basically the reason House Stark exists at all. We're talking about the Age of Heroes, thousands of years before the events of Game of Thrones. Nobody even knows who his parents were, but what we do know is what he built. He constructed Winterfell, the ancestral home of the Starks. He built the Wall, that massive 700-foot structure in the north. And get this, he got giants to carry the ice blocks, and the Children of the Forest used actual magic to bind it all together. He's also the one who set up the Night's Watch to guard it. The man basically built the entire northern world. First King of Winter. Legend. Now follow that blue dashed line down, because generations pass. Brandon the Breaker. Here's the wild part. During his reign, the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, a guy known as the Night's King, had gone completely rogue. He enslaved his own brothers, used dark magic, and ruled from the Night Fort for 13 years. Brandon the Breaker teamed up with the King Beyond the Wall, a man named Joramun, enemies working together, and they brought the Night's King down. Keep going down the chart. More centuries pass, and we hit Theon Stark, the Hungry Wolf. And this nickname was earned. When the Andals, a brand new people from across the sea, started invading the north, Theon didn't just defend his borders. He defeated their warlord, Argo Sevenstar, at the Battle of the Weeping Water. Then he raised a fleet, sailed to their homeland, displayed the dead warlord's body on the front of his ship, burned their villages, and mounted enemy heads along the coastline as a warning to anyone thinking about invading again. Theon Stark was also responsible for conquering the Three Sisters, a group of islands, which sparked a war with House Arryn that supposedly lasted 1,000 years. Respected even by the Ironborn, which is why Theon Greyjoy from the main series is literally named after him. Now we come to Torrhen Stark, and his card says it all. The King Who Knelt. When Aegon the Conqueror arrived with 3 dragons and 45,000 soldiers, Torrhen had 30,000 men. He'd already heard what happened at Harrenhal, the strongest castle ever built, turned to melted rock overnight. He made the call. He crossed the river, laid his ancient crown at Aegon's feet, and bent the knee. No battle, no bloodshed. People called him a coward, but every northerner alive in that moment kept their life because of that decision. History remembered him better and better as time went on. He became Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North, last King of the North, until Robb Stark, centuries later. Now on the chart, you see the next gold-glowing card, Cregan Stark, and he is widely considered one of the greatest Starks who ever lived. He became Lord of Winterfell at just 13 years old. His uncle tried to hold on to power when Cregan came of age, so Cregan had him imprisoned. During the Dance of the Dragons, a brutal Targaryen civil war, both sides wanted House Stark's support. Prince Jacaerys Valerian flew personally to Winterfell. The two became close, and Cregan agreed to back Queen Rhaenyra's side. They sealed the deal with the famous Pact of Ice and Fire. By the time Cregan reached King's Landing with his full army, the war was already over, but Cregan still ruled the capital for 6 days, known as the Hour of the Wolf, dispensing justice to the traitors responsible for Rhaenyra's fall, using the ancestral Stark sword, Ice. Then, he went right back home to Winterfell. No throne, no power games, just justice. Now look at the chart. You see the branch spreading out? We move through Rickon, Baron, William, Lord after Lord, until we get to William Stark, who was killed by the wildling King Beyond the Wall, Raymond Redbeard. But his brother, Artos Stark, the Implacable, avenged him. He killed Raymond in battle himself. Artos was so legendary that he got a statue in the Winterfell crypts, even though he was never a lord. William's line continues through Edwild Stark, and then down to the man you see right here, Lord Rickard Stark. Father of Ned, Brandon, Lyanna, and Benjen. He had big political ambitions, arranged marriages to tie the Starks to the Riverlands and the Stormlands, and then it all fell apart. When Prince Rhaegar apparently abducted Lyanna, Rickard's eldest son Brandon rode straight to King's Landing, shouted for Rhaegar to come out, and the Mad King arrested him. Rickard came to King's Landing for justice. Instead, he was suspended from the ceiling in his armor and slowly burned alive. Brandon was forced to watch, strangling himself trying to reach his sword. And that horror is what started Robert's Rebellion. Now look at the chart. From Rickard and his wife Lyanna Stark, 4 children are born. This is the generation most people know. Brandon Stark, the eldest, the wild wolf, the heir, gone at 20 years old. Lyanna Stark, the she-wolf, wild, brilliant rider, loved flowers. She and Prince Rhaegar secretly fell in love and married. Their child, born at the Tower of Joy, is Jon Snow. Lyanna died at just 16, right after giving birth, making Ned promise to protect the baby. Benjen Stark, the youngest brother, joined the Night's Watch, became First Ranger, one of the most respected men at the Wall, went beyond it one day, and was never the same. And then there's Eddard Stark, Ned, honest to a fault, became Lord of Winterfell at 19 after losing his father and brother, fought in Robert's Rebellion, married Catelyn Tully, who was originally betrothed to Brandon. Together they had 5 children. Then he became Hand of the King, and we all know how that story ends, beheaded at 35. Now here on the chart, 5 branches drop from Ned and Catelyn. Robb Stark, the young wolf, first king in the North in 300 years. Brilliant commander, won battle after battle against the Lannisters. Then he broke a marriage promise, married Talisa for love, and paid for it at the Red Wedding. Betrayed and killed by Roose Bolton, his direwolf, Grey Wind, died with him. Sansa Stark started as a naive girl who believed in fairy tale knights, went through Joffrey's cruelty, a forced marriage to Tyrion Lannister, and then a brutal marriage to Ramsay Bolton, who she eventually fed to his own hounds. By the end, she's the one sitting on the throne, queen in the North, running an independent kingdom. Arya Stark, left-handed, fiery, trained with Braavosi swordmasters, joined the Faceless Men, a guild of assassins who can literally wear other people's faces. She used that to wipe out the entire male line of House Frey. She's the one who killed the Night King, single-handed. Then she sailed west of Westeros to explore what no one has ever seen. Bran Stark, the boy who loved to climb, thrown from a tower by Jaime Lannister at age 7, paralyzed. But something awakened in him, the power of the Green Seer. He became the Three-Eyed Raven, a living memory of the entire world. And when it was all over, he was crowned Bran the Broken, king of the 6 kingdoms. The kid who dreamed of being a knight ended up ruling Westeros. Rickon Stark, the youngest, only 3 when the war began. Taken by Ramsay Bolton, used as a pawn in the Battle of the Bastards, shot through the heart by an arrow at just 12 years old. The books suggest he had a much larger story waiting, but the show wrote him out fast. And then, Jon Snow, believed to be Ned's bastard, actually the son of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, making him Aegon Targaryen, the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Rose through the Night's Watch, became Lord Commander, led the fight against the White Walkers, fell in love with Daenerys Targaryen, his own aunt, and when she burned King's Landing, he killed her to save the realm. In the end, Jon walks back beyond the wall with his direwolf ghost. And over here on the right side of the chart, 2 offshoots. Carlin Stark, a younger son of Winterfell, was rewarded Eastern lands for crushing a rebellion. He built a hold there, originally called Karl's Hold. It became Karhold. And his descendants became House Karstark, their own noble house, sunburst on black, still carrying Stark blood to this day. And then there's House Greystark. Given the Wolf's Den fortress by the Kings of Winter, they betrayed House Stark, allied with the Boltons. The price? Their entire family line was completely wiped out. So that's it. House Stark survived wildling invasions, political betrayal, the Red Wedding, the Long Night, and 8,000 years of brutal northern winters. Winter came, and they're still here. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.